Knowledge is power. Make an impact by learning more. Call us right now for more help at 866-945-8070. Good morning.
Morning.
Hey, how are you?
I'm much better, thank you. How are you?
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Were you at Scaling the Heights?
I couldn't go. My doctor advised against traveling after my surgery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Unfortunately.
Well, as long as you can make the QuickBooks Connect.
Fingers crossed.
Let's let some people in the house before we get this party started. Good morning, Sarah. Sarah's wearing a 17 Hats shirt, aren't you?
Yeah.
I recognize that right away. I have a nose.
Soft and comfy.
I haven't used 17 Hats in a long time. Do you still use it?
I have that. I paid, I think, for the 2 years. So I use it, but I don't. Not much.
I really don't use it anymore.
Just make sure you cancel before it renews.
Oh yeah.
I forgot to do that, and they charged me like $400, and so I had to get it
year.
for 2 years, and so
Goodness.
I had to reverse it. I had to call them and complain and get it reversed, but they had my money for about 7 days.
That's crazy that they charge you for 2 years. I mean, I've heard of charging for a year.
Well, I signed up for 2 years, and then I kind of lost interest, and I kind of forgot about it, and then
Gotcha.
I noticed when they charged my bank account, though. That got my attention.
Yeah, of course you noticed that. I hope.
I better look at my renewal date.
Yeah, so make sure you cancel before it's scheduled to renew.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So you don't use it at all, Seth?
I still have my account. They gave me like a free account forever.
Oh yeah.
So I still have it, but I don't really ever use it anymore. All right, hold on.
Uh-oh. Asana can't hear us?
What?
Asana can't hear us.
Yeah.
She said
It's got to be a speaker thing. Just can someone help her in the chat and just let her know, because everybody else's audio is obviously okay. So just tell her that she just needs to figure out how to get the right speakers working.
I just told her to check her speaker setup.
Yeah, she may not know how to do that. So you might not want, if you can explain to her, like at the bottom left where the mic icon is, to check which speakers it's, because it's a Zoom setting on top of the computer setting. And I have that happen sometimes where Zoom wants to use one thing as my speaker, even though everything else is on a different speaker.
Where is that in the Zoom, or it's actually your computer setup, right?
No, in the Zoom window. You'll see, where the mic is, there's a little up pointing arrow, which when you click on it, it will give you a list of all the microphones and all the speakers that it could use. All right, and for some reason, my Go Live on Facebook thing is just twirling and twirling. Let's hit refresh. I'm always
Can you hear now, Asana? No.
So the PDF is in Kunas.
And of course, it says that I'm live on Facebook. All right, let me just, I didn't name it or anything. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, Asana's left now.
I'm going to stop the live Facebook stream and do this again. I love when this stuff that works so well.
Because I don't have the volume, I have to work on my speaker. I don't want to look up here.
Okay, well, we can hear Asana now. We can hear you now.
Because I'm here. If I turn it on, maybe you can see. I need to check my speaker.
Okay.
Looks like they're having fun. Oh, they are.
All right, I'm just going to mute her for now. But yeah, while I'm trying to get the Facebook thing working, if you can all help her. All right, let's try this again. We're going to share on the page I manage. We're going to do it on the Nerd Enterprises page. Next. I think it's working this time. My dogs are
Ralphie wants
barking.
in.
What?
Ralphie wants in.
Ralphie and Hercules are both barking.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
I'm gonna grab my coffee. I'll be right
Go grab your coffee. I'll be here trying to work out the technical difficulties.
back.
Mm.
Well, you're fiddling with that. I gotta say, I was almost stunned last week, and I know you had mentioned it once before, and I'd forgotten it. The security level on G Suite is truly amazing, and I think a lot of people don't know, forgot, never heard about it, whatever.
Yeah, well, what really makes me cringe, Larry, is the number of times that I'll see somebody. I'm going to do this one more time with Facebook. I'm going to stop the live stream. The number of times where I see people in our industry, people who claim to be IT professionals who serve accountants in our industry, who will comment in Facebook threads and say, oh, Google's not secure. And I want to smack them. because it tells me that they're talking out of their you-know-where, and they haven't done their own research. They just heard it from somebody else, and they're parroting what they've heard somebody else, which is not what anybody should ever pay a professional for.
Right.
So it makes me actually really angry when I see that. And at this point, if I do see it, I link them straight to the security page and say, I think you should do your research and check again on that. It makes me so angry when it's one thing to be ignorant and not know something. It's another thing when you go out there and sort of deliberately give the wrong information.
Right.
And even if you didn't know better, that is deliberate, because you could never tell somebody something is or isn't secure if you haven't actually checked it out for yourself. So that kind of thing infuriates.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
But yeah, and their security has been like that for a very long time. All right, let's try this one more time. Otherwise, we may just have to without Facebook today, and everybody will have to catch the recording. I don't know if it's Facebook or if it's Zoom.
Now it shows that you're live on Facebook. It wasn't earlier when you said that you thought you were.
Yeah, so let's see if it works this time. I'm still back to the little twirly circle thing. But I noticed there's an option back here in Zoom that says View Live Stream. So let me click that. But it just takes me to Facebook. There's no actual live stream. So Tiffany, you're saying you actually see the live stream on my page?
No, I don't. It's actually on Zoom. It's showing live face on Facebook.
Yeah,
but it wasn't before.
Okay.
I'm not seeing the notification that we're live. Though.
It's not working for some reason.
Not working. I keep checking for us.
Thanks.
I know. I'm on your page. And I'm like, no.
All right. Well, what I'll do is I'll just leave this thing twirling, and then if it just wakes up suddenly, we'll be happy, and we'll be able to share our stories on Facebook Live. Meantime, I don't want to waste any more time. Let's get down to business. I don't got no time to play around. What is this? Those are Eminem lyrics. I'm a big Eminem fan. I'm kidding. I actually did like his music back in the day. All right, let's talk about Google. Whoa. My dogs are getting feisty with each other. All right, so I really wanted to talk about, the integration part of this, because that's the other part of, working with Google that's really cool. First of all, how many of you use Slack? Right, have you set up your Google Drive integration with Slack? It's like one of the coolest things ever. Let me show you what this looks like. Now, the only thing is you can only link your Google Drive account to one Slack workspace. And it doesn't really warn you. So if you try and link it to another Slack workspace, it will remove the original one and set it up on the new one. Easy enough to put it back to the old one, but that I found a little annoying. So, of course, I have my Google Drive integration set up with my in-house Nerd Enterprises Slack workspace. And the main thing that it does that's really cool is it just gives me notifications about everything in my Google Drive Slack channel. So anytime somebody shared a document with me, it's, I get a notification in Slack. And of course, I can go right in there and click straight over to the document. So, sometimes you get the emails, but sometimes those emails get buried or I delete them and then I don't know where they are. And I can go into Slack and get it. Yeah, everything on my computer is like super slow.
So I have a Zap set up for that for my share file notifications.
Okay. Yeah, so same idea. And by the way, the newest kind of spam is I'm getting people sharing documents with me in Google Drive by way of spam, where the documents themselves are spam. So I'm just going to delete these because some of these are less than savory. Okay, good. Now I'll bring it up on screen and I'll share my screen. I will not forget to share my screen today. Share screen. So here's actually somebody requesting to view a document that I had shared with them. And then here's Google Drive just giving me like a notification. Good news, Slack activity is coming to Drive soon. You'll see comments and sharing events from Slack and Google Drive. So that kind of makes it go the other way. So it's just cool. It's just a really cool integration. And the beautiful thing about, I think, learning to live in the world of Google and Google Drive File Stream and G Suite is that so many cloud applications integrate with Google. I mean, Evernote. Let's take a look at Evernote's, how its Google integration works. And I'll give you a really cool example of this.
Seth, I had set up my Google Drive integration on Slack in our Accounting Business Academy group.
Mm-hmm.
And just because that was the first place that I tried to use it.
Right.
And it made me wonder, do you guys see?
No.
Okay.
But it's still a good point, and something for people to think about, because I had somebody set up an integration. I forget what it was with. It was with like QuickBooks Online and Slack. And she evidently set it up with the Between Wool and Main Slack workspace instead of her own. And all of a sudden we're getting notifications about new projects she's adding in. She's obviously using the project thing that's in QBO now. And so I messaged her and said, I'm assuming you didn't mean for this to be going here in this particular Slack works. So some of these integrations in Slack, everybody will see. So just be very careful about what planet you're on when you're setting up these integrations. So here's a course that's in development on Excel. And when I drop a link from a Google document, it just renders it very nicely like this, right? So it's not just a link, it converts it into this little tile. And so what I do is, this is the course outline, and this is actually just a link to the folder where the course files are, because of course I'm keeping it all in Google Drive, because everything I do is in Google Drive. So the way that works is, let me click over to the actual folder here. And we'll bring that up.
Outline for your Excel course in Google.
In Google Sheets, exactly. Isn't that hilarious? That's exactly right. Because I have everything in Google. I would love to just do the course in Google Sheets, which I will do. I'll do all the same lessons in Google Sheets, but a lot of people still want to learn Excel. So when I take this URL and I copy it, let me do that again just to make sure. Then I go to Evernote, and let me just create a new note. And we'll just call this course folder. Let's say I was just going to have a whole note just for that. If I paste that link in, boom, it just converts it to that tile. It recognizes right away that this is a Google Drive link, and it converts it. So I do this a lot, and now with each lesson, see, this is just a regular old link that's not Google Drive, right? But this is the URL on my website, and so on. So when I click this, of course, it will launch Google Sheets and take me right into the outline. This is actually an old version of the outline. I have to go find the new one. See, and it even says it's in the trash. So let's close that. This must be the new one. This one's not in the trash. Yeah, this looks more like it, more complete. So let's fix that while we're here. So we're just going to delete that and paste in the new one. And boom. And notice it gives the appropriate icon. This is a spreadsheet. This is a folder, right? So I love this. And you're going to find this everywhere. And then the other thing that I've been enjoying sort of showing people lately that I do with this, by the way, my Facebook Live takes a little. And Zoom no longer says that we're live, does it? Oh, no, it does say we're live. All right, I'm just curious if I click to view the live stream.
That's always just taking me right to the main Facebook page.
Yeah. All right, never mind. I'm just going to turn it off. Stop live stream. Maybe it's Facebook hiccuping today. So the other thing I love to do is as follows. So keep in mind, just giving this sort of proper context, what I do is with every new client, I now have a template in ActiveCollab to set up those projects. And let me turn off that chime for people entering. I set up I have a template for ActiveCollab, and that template includes 3 task lists, which are under 3 tasks under a task list called reference, right? And the reference task list is for one of the tasks is Google Drive, and you'll see I link right to the client's Google Drive folder. So let me do that. I have a sample in here. So it's business management client sample. Perfect. So here's that equivalent list. What I'll do here in Google Drive is, let's say that this was a client folder. Then I just take the link right to that client folder and stick it in the description. That way, when the time comes to work on this particular client, I go into their project in ActiveCollab and then
Seth?
click. Yeah.
You're not showing your screen.
I did it again, didn't I? I turned it off to check on the Facebook feed. Greg, where were you? You're the one who normally tells me that.
I'm reading about the periodic inventory system.
Oh, that's interesting stuff. All right. So what I was showing you, or attempting to, is that in this project for ActiveCollab, under reference, I have a task called Google Drive, and in there, I have the link to that client's folder. So that when it comes time to work on that client, it's real simple. I go open up ActiveCollab, and from ActiveCollab, I have links to Google Drive, their Smartsheet workspace, because every client ends up with a Smartsheet workspace, and also their contact information that I have for them on Nimble. So I have all 3, so the point is this becomes Command Central. And so I just go to here, and from here I link out to everything. So again, because it's a cloud system, I can link, even if there's not an actual integration, I can easily link to locations in Google Drive because everything is URL based, right? And I'll show you another trick I use a lot. In fact, I think I have it here in these files, an example of it. Let's see if this is where it is. Yes. So can everybody see what's on my screen here? It's a bit.ly link. And I've actually customized the bit.ly link. This is a document for when I teach this course at Santa Monica College. And I've got a custom bit.ly link. So it's bit.ly/SMCXLSX, right, for Santa Monica College. And then, of course, the Excel extension. So I went to bit.ly and I customized the link using this document's link here on bit.ly. So I do that a lot because now when I give this document out, and somebody has gone into the document. But when I send this out to the students ahead of time so they can access this, and that makes, instead of this long, ugly link, it makes it very easy for them. Because also a lot of times by the time we get to the class, there are those who hadn't taken the time to follow instructions or whatever. So it's much easier to give out this link. I just tell them, go to bit.ly/SMCXLSX. So I do that a lot. Is I'll take, especially if it's a link to a Google document that I want to use a lot, I use bit.ly and I create the links, the shortened version. Very, very easy to do. You just click create. I paste the link in. It turns it into this, and then under customize, sometimes you have to try to find one that's not taken, but you just put whatever goes after the / and click save, and it'll tell you if it's, if it works or not. So that's how I created that shortened link. And now anytime I want to link this document, I have it. And of course I put it in the document itself as my way of having a reference for it, so I wouldn't have to remember where the heck I put it, right? So.
Seth, did I just see on there that you could actually put an extension on there so you can do it from any website?
An extension on there so that you could do, I don't know.
The Bitly.
Oh,
Something
I don't
popped
know.
up.
Where do you see that?
It was on that other page that you had created something.
Oh, let's
Created
try
the
it
link?
again.
There it is. Pro
Oh,
tip.
get the Bitly extension. Yeah, sure.
That's cool.
Yeah. I didn't even pay attention to that. Go figure. So yeah, so I use Bitly a lot to shorten these links because obviously the links themselves are kind of long and ugly, when I need to. Again, like if I'm using Evernote, there's no need because you already saw how nicely that works. So there's a lot of integrations. And now the other thing, now let's have some fun. Let's go to Zapier. Let's make some zaps. So what I want to do is actually I'm going to go into my drive. And let's just create a new folder so we can play around here. New folder. Zoom in with Seth, Google Drive. And let's go make some zaps. Make zaps, not war. So if you check off, one of the applications here, as you may know, is everybody here familiar with Zapier? I'm kind of assuming that you all are, but you may not be. Okay. I'll take that as a universal yes. Where's my chat at? Where's my chat at? Okay, nothing new in the chat. Good. So, if you just check off one application, it gives you popular zaps for that application. So, one of the things that Laura was mentioning in Facebook earlier this week was that she does this, where she will save new Gmail attachments to a particular folder in Google Drive, which is kind of cool, right? Because then you can just take that and file it wherever you need to go. It saves you the trouble of actually clicking to download the attachment from the email. And I imagine you can probably get specific about it and say when the email comes from a particular sender. Well, let's try it. Let's make a zap. I love doing this and just seeing what my choices are. I'll go into this sometimes just like this, and I have no idea what I'm going to create. I just choose the application to see what are my options, right? So we're going to start with Google Drive. We need a trigger of some sort. So the triggers are new file and folder, or just any new file, less common options, update to a file, new folder, right? So that's Google Drive. Let's back up. I don't want to rename it. I want to remove it. Let's go back. Make a zap. Because it's one thing with Google as a trigger, it's another thing when it's the thing that you do after the trigger. So let's start with Gmail. Triggers when you receive an email, a new attachment. Triggers once per attachment. So if you get an email with 4 attachments, it's going to trigger 4 times. Right, so let's try that one. And we'll say save and continue. And we'll use Seth's Gmail. And this is where you want to find out, what are my choices? Can I be specific as to the sender? So can I set this up only for a particular sender? That's kind of what I'm looking for here. Right, so inbox all labels, loading choices. And it looks like I can pick a specific individual by name. So let's try this. Sarah, it's not finding you in Gmail. I guess we don't email very much.
Isn't
It's
it by a
not?
label though?
Oh, it
Not
says
a-
label mailbox. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's looking
Yeah.
for labels and not individuals. That's why. Because I used to set up labels. It's funny because I haven't used labels in forever. I used to set up labels by sender so I could file them. But as I was pointing out this week in Facebook, I don't bother with them anymore because Google search is so good. I don't really need to worry about labels. It's very easy to use the search to find something. So, all right. So so I can only go based on labels, or I can use a search string. And here's where you have to kind of know the language. So I think if I say from : I need the email address probably that I want to
Sarah,
apply.
yeah, if you just, I don't know, you could try mine.
All right, let me, all right, what is your email?
Sarah at mintagelabs.com. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
continue. All right, so send me an email with an attachment.
I was just going to go get my email.
It says it pulled something.
It says what?
It says it looks like it found something.
Oh,
It is a picture.
So it looks like it's a PNG file. So this is a potential problem with this. And I want to know what Laura's done about this. Because if somebody sends an email with images in their signature, it's going to treat all those as attachments. And that would be a reason why I would not want to do this.
okay. I'm going to send you.
And then there's another PDF file attached. So, all right, at least we got at least one example of something. But I want to make sure it's not something that's confidential.
I know. I was like, what did I send you? Because I was just going to send you something else.
All right, so now what do we want to do with it? Now that we've flagged for any email with an attachment from Sarah, let's say, well, I want to put it in Google Drive, right? So Google.
Now I'm really thinking, what in the heck did I send you?
I think I know what it actually is.
Oh, I think I do too.
Oh, look, I can create a file from the text of the email, which is kind of cool. But where's the option to do something with the attachment?
Wouldn't it be upload the file with the second option?
I guess so, yeah. Let's try that. A little unclear to me. And then I imagine I'll get to specify the folder. What do you mean connect an account? I'm already connected. Stupid. Okay, so here I choose the folder, ZIWS. There it is, ZIWS Google Drive. No, this is asking me for a file to upload to the folder, like to upload a specific file. So let's go back. I don't want to upload a file. Let's just try create a file. That's just weird though. It doesn't seem like it's gonna, like I just want to drop the file into the folder. Maybe copy the file. Let's try that. I mean, did I not set the trigger up right? This is where these things drive me crazy. There should be a very clear and straightforward option that says download the attachment to a folder, right? Maybe I'm crazy. Oh, you know what? No, we didn't do an attachment. And well, no, it says new attachment.
No, I'm looking at the email that it's referencing.
Right, but no, I'm just worried about the options here.
Oh.
That, I'm flagging it. The whole trigger is based on a new attachment. And then I just narrowed the search down to one that came from you.
Uh-huh.
So there should then be an option here. I just want the attachment to go into a folder. let's try move file. Although this is from one folder to another, that doesn't lead me to believe I'm going to get to move the attachment.
Mm-mm.
Well, let's try did we do upload file? It says copies an existing file from another service to Google Drive. Let's just try this one.
Okay.
But that leads me to believe it's going to create it from the text of the email. Yeah, see, it's requiring a file name. And it's requiring, so that's not the right answer. All right, let's try that one. I think I tried that one already, didn't I? Wait, you know, sometimes even though it's required, I didn't check the options, so duh, any of these would have worked. I didn't go far enough to check. So when you click the options here, one of the choices is to use the new attachment. Okay, so that looks like that'll do it. I don't want to convert it to a document. Okay, so that looks like that actually will work. Let's go continue. All right, send test to Google Drive. And Sarah, I'm going to pull this over to my other screen just in case it is a confidential document.
Okay.
And then let's finish. And then have you sent me an email just now?
Do you want me to send you a new one? I didn't want to.
Well, the Zap's not running yet, so hold on. Don't send it
Okay.
yet. So name my Zap, new attachment.
I'll find something kind of fun to send you.
I don't care about that. Just turn it on, man. Just turn it on. All right, so I don't see anything in my folder now from the test. So go ahead and send me an email now.
Okay.
Now, of course, you have to wait for the Zap to actually run, but mine, I have a premium account, so mine run like every 5 minutes, but I think you can tell it to run them now. So let's, you've sent it, right?
Yes, now. Okay.
All right, let me give it a minute.
Something to attach.
It's actually sent. Yep.
What a darn shame this is not being recorded.
Oh, no, it's being recorded. It's just not live on Facebook. I'm recording it for the website like I always do.
Oh, cool.
All right, I'm going to run the Zap now because, of course, I can go in here and force it to run. I'm going to say run. It says no new items.
Sent it. And I attached.
Let me see if I got the actual email in my inbox.
Okay.
And you definitely sent it to Seth at nerdenterprises.com.
I did. The one with the picture of the doggies.
Yeah, so I got the email that says testing. Maybe it just needs a minute. Let's try running it again.
Okay. Oh,
I did find it. Yay!
Yay. Okay.
Okay, so let's see what you sent me. Let's refresh the folder.
I wonder, because I sent you, I realized I sent you I didn't send you like an Excel attachment. I sent you a numbers file. Because I'm on Mac. Crap.
Oh.
It occurred to me. Sorry. I can send it again.
It's not here yet, but you know what? It's also syncing.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if it needs to finish syncing up. Because it definitely confirmed it successfully uploaded a file.
I did. And it converted it into something else. I saw it at the top.
I saw there's an option in Zapier to have it convert it to a Google document. So I probably could have it convert any like spreadsheet format to a Google sheet. All right, so now I don't know why this isn't showing up here.
But if you look at on your recent,
Oh,
at the
so
top.
maybe I have a different zoom in. Yeah, I think it's. Oh, so it was in the recent. Let's go back.
Yeah, I saw it pop up in the recent. There it is to the far right.
It was this one.
Go to the far right. Expense reports.
All right, so let me see.
That's not me.
Oh, that's not you? Wait.
No, go to the far right.
Oh, this one. Okay.
There you go.
I wish there was a way to open the location from here.
Me too. I've wanted that too.
But you can do it from within the document usually. So not like this. Let's say if I said move to, it should show me where it is. So it looks like maybe it's just in the root, even though I thought I said to put it.
Yeah, I
there.
can send you an actual.
Called expense report template. Here it is. So it just went into the root. It didn't go into the actual folder that I gave it.
That's weird.
So let's check the settings. We'll add up. And this is why you always have to test these things like crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we said upload file. It says Google Drive. Ah, I didn't specify the folder. I thought I had.
Oh, okay.
Let's try that again. So if you don't specify a folder, it just goes to your root. Continue. It says my Zap was turned off because I made a change. Let's turn it back on.
Do you want me to?
Send me something new. Wait, hold on. Don't
Okay, I will. Hold on. Let me just export it out into a different file format.
I bet you can also tell it to send files into Slack.
You think so?
I bet you can. We'll test that next.
Okay. Well, I'll convert this out to an Excel thing so it can.
All right. Meanwhile, I'll check my settings to make sure that it kept the setting, that it's going into the folder. Yep. Back to the dashboard.
Will you have to set up a different Slack channel for that to go into, or?
Well, yeah, I imagine you can do something like what I started to do here, where I could say any email with an attachment that comes from a particular sender should be, load the attachment into a particular Slack worker. We'll test it next. We'll see what. Again, this is always a matter of trying it and seeing what your options are, right?
Yeah.
One of those things where you can't be afraid to click on things. You have to be like a kid in a touch museum, where you're just touching it. Let's see, what does this do? What does it do?
Seth David's test lab.
That's right. All right.
Okay.
Are we ready to run?
Yeah, it just converted it. So here we go. Oh, I've got it all ready to go here. Okay. Let's see. Reset. All right, so. All right, sent it in. Let's see what happens.
All right, let me just refresh my email, make sure I've got it. And then it looked like we needed a minute. Still haven't got it. Let's just wait. Meanwhile, while we're waiting for that, you know, there's a lot of other cool stuff you can do with Google. Like I've done something comparable with Airtable, but let's say you want to use Google Forms to capture new client information, right? So we can do a new record in a Google form, right? I don't have anything set up to actually demonstrate this, but basically you have a Google form that your clients fill out. They feed you all their information about their company, and you can actually take the results and use it to create a new QBO customer, right? And you can put that, you can drive that information wherever you want it to go. I'll show you my Airtable version. Just understand, you can do the exact same thing with Google Forms as what I've done with Airtable. So let's go to, I've started to create folders for these things. So new business management client, go it. I learned this one from Heather Satterley. In fact, when she showed me this, I was like, okay, I got to get into Zapier and start playing with it, right? So this is a new Airtable record, which is based on an Airtable base that I created specifically to design a form to capture all the new client information, right? It creates a task in ActiveCollab, letting me know it's time to create a new project for them. The only reason I didn't have it just create the project is I want the project created from a template, and that wasn't one of the options. I couldn't have it choose a template in the, let's see if maybe they've changed it since, but when I went to set this up, the only choice was to create, it sets up a project. No, it's a task that's telling me to set up a project, because the new project option didn't include the ability to tell it to use a template in the process. So I'm specifically having it just set up a task, which is in my main project that tells me go create the project. But what it does do is it grabs the company name, so I know like what to name the project, right? So it kind of puts the information in there, so it makes it very easy for me to create it with the information that gets dumped in. Then over here, it's going to create the new customer in QBO, right? And so if we edit the template, it's going to, I have a naming convention for all my customers. It's company name dash contact name, right? So it grabs the company name, puts in a dash, and grabs the contact name. All I had to do is click this and choose the choices from a drop-down. So you can build something like this very easily. It's pulling the data based on what was submitted in Airtable, right? So the full name will be used as a display name because that's exactly how I want it called. So I didn't distinguish one from the other, right? Then separately, I have the company going to the company. I definitely want the email address, right? The phone number's going in, the address, all the pieces. I made sure Airtable collected all this. So all those pieces get put in to the new customer in QBO, right? It also creates a contact in Nimble. And I also have a MailChimp list specifically for clients. So it adds them in as a contact on that list. That way, if I want to, I can send a broadcast email to all of my clients. I just have to be careful if I get rid of a client that I have to take them out of that list. So very easy to do the same exact thing with Google Forms. Let me check my email and see if I've got Sarah's email yet. I'm sure I have by now. Yep, test again. Let's just see if it's come through by now. Maybe it has on its own. There it is. Oh. So I didn't have to force the run because enough time elapsed that it just ran on its own. Mm-hmm. And there's my expense report template. Pretty cool, right?
It is
and
nice.
So here's another example of something really cool that you can do. Let's create a Google Sheet.
Do you think, would that have worked if I'd, you know, when you take a Google Drive and you can do it as a link versus an attachment and you're sharing it? I wonder how that works on a Zap.
I think you lost me on that one.
Well, in the email, you can attach either the link, you know, when you're doing from the little Google Drive icon.
If it's a Google document, then yeah. But it has to be a Google document for you to be able to attach it as a link.
Yeah.
And in that case, I think it'll probably recognize that it's a native Google document, and you'll be able to tell it to just put it in a folder, I would think.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to create a new spreadsheet, and we're calling it new cool stuff I'm doing, right? And we're going to create a Zap that basically says if I add something new to this, let's just create some dummy columns. Name, email, phone, notes. Okay? And we'll just go view, freeze, one row. Right? So again, similar to what you might do in Google Forms, but here we're just doing it straight up in a spreadsheet, right? So Google Sheets as my trigger. Newer updated spreadsheet row, or I can just say spreadsheet row. This is nice because if I make a change, that will create the trigger as well, right? But let's just say I don't want changes to, you know, cause anything to happen. I just want this. So we're going to say save and continue. And by the way, you can't do what I'm about to do here with an Excel spreadsheet because there's no way to link to an Excel spreadsheet in a cloud location such that this could ever work, right? So one of the reasons what I'm about to do works and works really well is because we're going cloud to cloud. That's how Zapier is built to work, right? So now we need the spreadsheet is going to be new cool stuff, right? So new cool, or check Google Sheets and reload. That's new.
Ooh.
Maybe I need to connect Google Sheets or connect it better. All right, so when that happens, we just go back home and we go to apps. And we're a little slow. So I guess you have to actually connect Google Sheets specifically. It's not enough just to connect Google Drive. So click on that. All right, that I didn't want to do. I really like when it gets slow like this. It makes it fun. So Jennifer's asking, do I know if there's a way to import from Google Sheets into a journal entry? I don't think you can create transactions with Zapier. I think you can only like update lists and things. But we can try it. We can look at the options. All right, so let's go home because apps is just a list of apps. Here's Google Sheet. Let's go to connected accounts maybe. There. There we go. All right, I'll allow it. Yay, now we should be able to do it. So let's go make a zap. Google Sheets. New spreadsheet row, save and continue. We want this one. Test it. Oh, that's weird. It says it's not working. So let's reconnect. Okay, and it's really the same thing, so I'll just need to delete the other one later. All right, new cool stuff I'm doing. So it shows you kind of an order of when you've used something. All right, and I don't know if you saw, but the message here says that you must have column headers, which I do, right? I have name, email, phone, and notes. So let's go back here. So I need to tell it what worksheet. Sheet 1. All right, so let's do a sample. Seth at SethDavid.com, 866-945-8070. Hi, Mom. That's funny. So I think it caught me in the middle of entering this stuff, but whatever. Let's just get the Zap set up. Okay, and then let's say I just want to use that to create a new task in ActiveCollab. So we'll just create a task. So we tell it which project. Nerd main. All right, task list can just be inbox. So now here's where you build the task name. So it's gonna, you click the plus sign here, and that when you see one of these plus signs, it means you can pick from different elements that came from the trigger, right? So let's say I want to use the name. So the task name would be the name, and then I might say new blah, blah, blah. So that will be in the task name. And then in the body, I want everything else, right? I want email, right? I can hit the enter key, so it goes on a new line for the phone. Enter key. And then I want notes. And continue. And let's send a test to ActiveCollab. All right, let's check it. And here it is. Seth knew blah, blah, blah. It didn't get the notes for some reason, probably because I was in the middle of doing it. So let me create a new line. Right, and we'll say Seth, David, just so it's something different. Email, same thing. Yo. Okay, and then we'll come here. Zap is on. There we go. Awfully slow today. Finish. New cool. All right, and let's run it. All right, so it didn't find anything new, probably because I did that before I was done setting it up. Let's copy and paste the new line. Found one new item. And I also, because I have ActiveCollab integrated with Slack. I don't know if you saw that Slack started lighting up, letting me know there's a new task in ActiveCollab. So I have all this stuff connected. Kind of cool, actually. So if we go here, there it is. And this time it did. It didn't put in the carriage returns. You can use HTML code to put things on a new line. It's just, I'll show you what the code looks like this when you're actually setting up the Zap. If you put bracket / BR, close bracket, that inserts a line break. I believe you can put HTML in those boxes in Zapier. So if you're trying to do this, try that. Let's try to do one other thing on this. Let's go back into New Cool. And we're going to edit this. This is to answer Jennifer's question. So let's say in addition, we wanted to create a journal entry with this information, right? So we're going to add another step. And it's going to be for QuickBooks Online. Notice QuickBooks Online is premium, so you have to have a paid account with Zapier to be able to do stuff in QuickBooks Online. And so here are our choices. We can create a customer sales receipt. We can create an invoice. So you can create some transactions, a refund receipt, purchase order. Let's see if journal entry shows up in here. It doesn't look like that. But honestly, you know what you could do instead of a journal entry? you could theoretically, if you know that the source data is going to have the information set up in such a way that you know exactly what the debit is and exactly what the credit is, you can go create a new expense. Was that one of the choices? Yeah, you can create an expense and just use that like a journal entry, right? Because you know that the account line item for line 1 is going to be your debit, right? And if you have a negative line item also going to that same expense, that's effectively a credit to whatever accounts you have there. So let's see if we choose create an expense. Let's see what our choices are in terms of what fields we can populate. So in other words, can we do like a split transaction with multiple lines is really the question, because then we could pull one line item as a positive and another line item as a negative. So it looks like we can do account description amount, and we can do either account details or item details, but not both. So no, I take that back. This won't work to accomplish a journal entry because you can't do split transactions. You only get one line for the transaction details. So I take it back. So we'll delete that. Really delete? Yes, really delete. So anyway, I mean, we got into some stuff other than Google Drive and Docs, but I want to make sure it's clear before we wrap up today that especially using a product like Zapier, if there's not a direct integration, which most products have a direct integration with Google Drive by now, you'll find that, right? So if it doesn't, then Zapier will come in, and even if it does already have something, Zapier will give you ways to do things nothing else can let you do, nothing else out there. And again, as you saw, we've seen how we can link this up and take an email attachment, drop it into a specified Google Drive folder. And we've also seen how you can take the, what do you call it? We did the email attachment into the Google Drive folder, and also how you can just take information out of a Google document platform and get it wherever you want to put it. I want to show you one other thing I did recently. Because it's really cool. It's not necessarily Google Docs, but if you're doing something like this, what I'm going to show you will become really important. Because one thing you run into here is, if you happen to start entering a new line, and Zapier is set to run every either 5 minutes or 15 minutes, depending on what kind of an account you have. If it starts running while you're in the middle of typing, you're kind of screwed. It's going to get half the information. So there's a trick to that. And I learned it in creating something else. So I'll show you what I created. I think I have it open in my other window. Let's go here. So here, what I've done is I've created a really cool system, and I've started it kind of from scratch here. So this is a list of all the content that I have in my Nerd Enterprises blog, and eventually there'll be other things. I have some of the 97 and up stuff in here. And I wanted to create a way to syndicate my content. I was using Meet Edgar. I wasn't happy because the way their calendar works, if you want to make major changes to the calendar, it takes forever. You have to delete every individual setting for when something goes out and start all over. So it was taking way too long to make updates. So I actually built this system to work very similar to what I just did here in Google Sheets, where when I add a new line item onto this particular page, I can, based on what's in the master schedule, I can pull from any piece of content that I've already got in there. It will actually look up and pull in the image from that master schedule, and and everything else gets grabbed, and then I choose which platform I want it to go to. And the way this works is I have a zap set up in Zapier that says when a new record is added here, go publish it through Buffer for this particular platform. So, then it goes into Buffer, and Buffer spaces it out. But again, the problem is if I'm sitting here trying to write an updated description, and part of where this came from were the recent changes to Twitter, where you can't keep using the same exact message in your tweet. They will start blocking those. So I needed time to rewrite the messages and write a little different message each time the same old tweet is going out on Twitter, or the same, something going to the same blog post, let's say. So what was happening was, sure enough, it wasn't getting all the information because the zaps were running before I had a chance to finish everything. So what that looks like, what I did is I've created a different one for each platform, because each one is checking to see if the platform I've chosen is the one for this zap, right? So this is for the Facebook Nerd Enterprises Inc. page. This is if I chose to send it to personal, and so on. So each one is looking for that particular setting. If it doesn't find it, it'll fail. So if I didn't choose to send it to Instagram, Instagram will fail. But here was the trick, and I'll just use Twitter as an example, to making sure that I had enough time to get everything in there before the zap would run, is that you add this step. It's called a delay. And I configured this to delay for, I forget what it is, I think 15 minutes. Yeah, 15 minutes. So by putting this delay in, even though it might start to run and see I've got a new item, it immediately says delay for 15 minutes. That gives me plenty of time to finish writing. In a lot of cases, I'm copying and pasting a lot of this stuff. And with Airtable being what it is, a lot of the stuff is actually looked up. So once I choose like something like this, it will look up most of the information. Really, all I have to do is rewrite the social post itself that's going to go, and choose which platform it's going to go to. So eventually I'm going to do a video explaining how all this works, and of course offering to help people get something like this set up for themselves, because this actually saved me a lot of money. Instead of paying $50 a month for Meet Edgar, and since I'm already using Airtable, Buffer was only $15 a month. Between this and Buffer, I've got a beautiful system for syndicating my content. And if you don't want to use Airtable, you can do the exact same thing right here in Google Sheets. The exact same setup, only using Google Sheets as a trigger instead of Airtable, where you would create a similar kind of schedule that lists out all, it would look exactly like this, but in Google Sheets instead of Airtable, right? The only thing you can't do in Google Sheets is the image part, right? Which is one of the nice things, because here, this is actually a looked up field. So it looks up in the master when I choose what the source post is. It automatically looks up the image, and that gets pushed into Buffer. So that's one of the reasons for doing this in Airtable. You can't do that in Google Sheets. You can't really do that with any other tool that I know of, where it can just kind of store and automatically look up and post the images. So, and just so you know exactly what I'm talking about, I'll add in a new line, and over here, I can just choose. I click here and I choose. This comes from the master list. So let's say I want to schedule getting started with QuickBooks Online. Boom. And then I'll just write a quick new to, I'll use a hashtag. This is a must see and read, right? And boom. So the only thing is now I have to decide where it's going to go. Let's push it on to LinkedIn today, and then I always do this just so I know when's the last time I actually scheduled this one, right? And this lets me know when I actually created this particular tweet anyway, so it kind of eliminates the need for this. That was something I added in after the fact. But now this is ready to go, and obviously it takes less than 15 minutes to do that. So and a lot of times I'll just copy and paste a whole bunch of these at once, so that within the next 15 minutes, the Zap will finish running and it will push this post into LinkedIn. Notice it did look up the QuickBooks image, right? I didn't have to do anything there. It just looked it up because it's pulling all that information from the master list, which is over here. So again, you can do like 90% of this using Google Sheets if you don't have or don't want to pay for Airtable. But I personally think Airtable is worth it. It's such a cool app, especially when you start using Airtable with Zapier and doing stuff like this. So anyway, that is my story, and I'm sticking to it. So use Google Sheets. And I'll remind everybody, Larry brought it up at the beginning and we covered it last week. Go check out Google's security if you have any doubts. Google has amazing security. And if you see anybody on Facebook telling you Google is not secure, smack them. Give them a virtual smackdown and tell them to go do their own research instead of just parroting what they heard from somebody else, because it's wrong to give out misleading information, even if it is from pure ignorance. Okay, cool. So Jennifer says, thank you for walking through the choices. That was in reference to the QuickBooks part. Yeah, so we can create, I'm pleased to know that we can create transactions in QuickBooks from Zapier. But unfortunately, we can't do journal entries. I guess it's not that complex yet. But we can do other things. That's it. Just create 2 transactions out of a document, right? One for the debit, one for the credit. Do an expense and a sales receipt or something. I don't know. Somebody will figure out a good workaround, or Zapier will figure out a way to do journal entries. One or the other. So anyway, anybody have any questions, thoughts, comments, concerns, need therapy? I'm not a therapist. I'm not a licensed therapist.
Thanks, Seth. You could actually do probably a part 3 on this stuff.
I could do a 20 part. You know what? I'll just do a course. In fact, I was thinking of this, and it's on my radar. I'm going to do a course called Run Your Business with Google. And it's going to walk through everything from setting up a free Gmail account to what the differences are between that and G Suite and the whole range. I actually do. I'm not even kidding. I have it all outlined. So it's on my calendar. I just haven't started producing it yet.
Perfect.
So that will be on my website for the low price of $25 a month subscription.
All right.
Minimum. And there you have it there. All right, kids. I'm out of here. I got to go. I got hired by a company to do an all-day training today in person right here in Burbank. And they
Perfect.
I don't do that often because usually people don't want to pay what I want to get paid for a whole day. These guys paid it. So I'm excited.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
You too.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.